In a project-based environment, students are driving their own personal curricula. So they're working with advisors, they're working with parents, and hopefully getting some advice and some guidance, but they are focusing on their passions, what they're truly interested in. They're going in depth into those areas, hopefully seeing how they connect to other things in society and in the local and global communities, but they are in charge of their own learning for the most part. And it's up to them what and how much and when they're going to learn.
It's really about the process, though. It's not about the product. It's not about the fact that someone chose dogs, as opposed to studying Nietzschean philosophy or something like that. It's really about, can you find information? Can you effectively put that information together? Are you able to write about it? Are you able to speak about it? Are you able to create other products about that? And so that when we look at that, doing those things, there's really a fairly elaborate process that goes on. So our students have a 2-page project checklist, and it starts from the very beginning when they first initiate that process. Say, here's something I'd like to talk about, or I'd like to learn about, and here's initial preliminary research that I've done, so I can show you that there are 4 books on this and there are 5 articles, and I've contacted a live source. So when they do preliminary research, now they and their proposal team have a pretty good idea that this is a researchable project, that there's a likelihood that they're going to be able to find the information they want. From that point, then they go into a research phase. Once that's approved, and a lot of times it's tweaked by the proposal team, usually to narrow the topic. Kids tend to be a little broad sometimes in their ideas, so we narrow the topic down. Oftentimes we suggest other sources they might try to find. We might know people. But then they go into a research phase, which is probably 40% of their time. Once they've done the research, they meet again with their advisor and talk about, well, now I have all this information. What do I want to do with it? How am I going to show people that I know something about this subject? And at that point, there's a planning phase, and then there's another fairly long production phase where they're certainly writing something. We usually require a written product for most projects. So they might be writing something. They might be creating a PowerPoint. They could be doing a video. They could be creating a dance or music or artwork, or there are lots of the diorama. There are lots of things kids could do to demonstrate their knowledge. And then there's an assessment phase where they bring all the products and all the process back to the table, and the same advisors that help them with the proposal then look at the assessment. And 2 advisors and the student, sometimes their parents, sometimes a live expert might be in on it, but usually it's the student and 2 advisors collaboratively go through a 9-part rubric and say, here are strengths and weaknesses. And the longer they're there, the more they come to the table doing a good job. They don't want to come to the table knowing that they did not put forth their best, because they're the ones that initially say, here's how I did in this area, and here is the evidence that that's how I did in this area. So if a student says, I'm doing an excellent job at time management, then in order to show that, they're going to have effective logs, and they're going to have analysis about how they use their time. They're going to have to show that they met deadlines, all those things. So they can't just say, oh, I did a great job, without the backup. So that's really the process of doing, a project.